I think it's fair to say that out of most modern TV shows, very few have ever held quite a candle to the impact Stranger Things has had for nearly a decade now. Nobody could have predicted that this love letter to the 80s would go on to become one of the most talked about TV shows of all time. With several seasons, records broken, as well as establishing Netflix as the new dominant force in the entertainment industry, Stranger Things was, by all accounts, something truly special, with its cheesy but lovable characters managing to find their way into our hearts, and the genuinely fascinating yet horrifying world they created in the Upside Down. Stranger Things was the TV show for the longest time, but as the years have gone on, I can't help but feel like something's changed. And now, after 4 seasons, we've now made it to the final season, with Volume 1 releasing just about a week ago now. And yet, despite the hype, despite the build-up, I just ultimately felt nothing. Yeah, this once charming and interesting show now makes me feel kinda empty. Which is strange because not much has really changed since the start. We still have the characters, the monsters, and the 80s aesthetic, so what was it about Season 5 that I just couldn't connect to? Honestly, this has been something I've wanted to talk about for a fairly long time now, because while I wouldn't say the show's gotten bad, trust me, I've seen worse, it's just something about it that just doesn't seem to be there anymore. It feels like there's something missing, and for a while I couldn't figure out what that thing is. But after thinking about it, and I mean really thinking about it, I believe I might have finally figured out just what that thing might be. Simply put, Stranger Things isn't strange anymore. Now again, let me emphasize that no, I don't think this show has gotten bad per se. I still had some enjoyment with Season 5 so far. After all, they really gave us some great shots, and the effects are still as impressive as ever. I could definitely see why technically this show is still amazing, but it's only when you look past those flashy effects and 80s music do the problems really begin to reveal their ugly head. And with one of the more notable things I noticed about Season 5 being just the scale of it all. Stranger Things is a big show, and by God, do they know it by now. With Season 5 doing everything in its power to be that big pop culture event of the year, similar to an Avengers movie, it's really gotten that big. After all, we have bigger action, bigger scope, bigger stories, and bigger monsters, but in making everything so big, I can't help but feel like we lose a lot of that magic and charm that made the show work earlier on. Take the Demogorgon, for example. In Season 1, while we didn't see much of it, it really did leave an impact when we did see it. With it skulking in the shadows, picking people off with ease, as well as the whole ambiguous mystery behind them, they used to be really quite effective monsters. But in Season 5, they're less interesting nightmare fuel, but more so big Hollywood monsters who roar all the time. And in becoming that, they lost a lot of their mystique and, dare I say, actual relevance. And here's the thing, I understand why they did this. They want to give us more cool action and whatnot, you know, finally use the monsters to be monsters, but in doing so, it feels less like Stranger Things and more so just like every other big time blockbuster. And honestly, the same can be said with most of Season 5 as a whole. They're taking things that used to be mysterious, bizarre, or even scary, and just sort of watering them down for the sake of having cool action scenes or having a bigger story. It again feels less like Stranger Things and just more so like everything else. Now hold on peeps, before we go any further I gotta ask, do you want to be featured in a video? Just like Lucamations, Bezzy, and The Bagel Battle? Then you need to subscribe right now. I'm on a mission to get to 30,000 subscribers and I need your help in order to reach it. So if you want to help me on my mission and potentially get a shout out, then all you have to do is subscribe right now and go into the comments down below telling me you subscribed. Remember, peeps, you gotta comment down below telling me you subscribed or I won't see it. And who knows, might be your name as the one featured in my very next video. But with that, let's get back into Stranger Things. Now, I usually wouldn't mind when a show wants to be more ambitious. After all, it's been nearly 10 years since that this show has been going on. You gotta give us more to chew on by now, but the problem in doing that is there's a very fine line you gotta walk when it comes to expanding your series. You gotta make sure you evolve what came before, absolutely, while at the same time staying true to the identity you created for it. Ironically enough, I'd compare Stranger Things to most 80s franchises, where they'll often start out with a really interesting and cool idea, but then in the sequels they'll flanderize them down so much that it might as well be a completely different franchise altogether. And I feel that same issue is going on here with Stranger Things, as in the early days of the show, the big appeal of it was that it felt meaningful. The choices the characters made, the risks they were in, it all felt genuine and personal. We didn't know whether the characters would be safe, we didn't really understand what the Upside Down even was, or how to get there. We didn't really understand what the Mind Flayer was, or why our characters were always connected to it. And I feel like that mystery was a part of the charm that the show had, but now it's completely different. The characters never feel like they're ever in any real danger anymore, since the show is just too attached to them to let any of them go. Like, as much as I enjoyed Max and Hopper, I do feel like they should have died when they were supposed to. It not only would have kept the sense of danger, but would have forced the other characters to evolve, because outside of Will, and to some extent Dustin this season, most of the personal conflicts between the characters are things we've already seen before. Like Nancy having relationship issues, Hopper trying to sacrifice himself again, and Joyce being worried for Will all the time. Despite changing so many things about the show, the one thing that never really changes is the characters, which is not only frustrating but pretty disappointing because again, the cast do a great job with what they're given. I just feel like they need to be given more, because these issues are only interesting when they're done the first time, not the fourth or fifth time. But the reason they keep rehashing a lot of these elements is again for the sake of keeping the show as big as possible. After all, the season 5 finale alone is going to be 2 hours long. I'm sorry, but no show should be that long, because it just gets to a point where they're having to rehash a lot of these things for the sake of keeping up with the time, and in doing so, a lot of the themes and lessons that we learned in previous seasons just get brought back again in a different coat of paint that doesn't justify the length at all. The scale of the show has gotten to a point where it's almost suffocating now, and in doing so, a lot of what worked before just doesn't here. Because call me crazy or a hater, but I feel like the reason this show worked so well early on is because it didn't need to prove itself all the time. It didn't need to justify long running times, have giant epic showdowns every episode, or have global event status, but rather, it was just a fun and creepy little mystery that knew how to keep things, well, strange. But as of now, it's strayed so far away from being different that instead of being strange, it's now just like everything else. Just another big pop culture event. But what do you guys think? Did you notice this shift towards being more mainstream, or are you perfectly happy with what we got? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm interested to see what you guys have to take away from this topic. And hey, if you enjoyed today's video and want to see more content just like this, then be sure to like this video and subscribe. Doing so not only tells me you like this content, but it actually helps me make that content for you guys a whole lot faster. But with that, peeps, it's been the Pink King here, and I will see you all next time.